A lot of this depends on Calle Yarncroke's health. Hasn't played so far here as we have this conversation in the preseason. But Nick Robertson or Noah Gregor, Pontus Holmberg's involved, Bobby McMann as well. How do you see this one playing out?
It depends. It depends on where that spot is, right? It's that classic. Are you going to shove a player in a spot that he's not that kind of player? You know, I feel like Robertson and Gregor are different types of players. If it's that fourth line spot somewhere, it's Noah Gregor to me. He's the guy that can skate and, you know, play that energy role and get in there on the forecheck and do the things that you want out of your energy lines. And I think Nick Robertson is, you know, more of a skill player and a playmaker. And if he's not showing skill and making plays at a high enough level where he can be at least on that third line, then I never like it when you put a skill type of player into a checking role, an energy role, and you expect him to change his entire game that he's been playing his entire life. It never works out. And for that reason, if you're looking to fill that, you know, somewhere on that fourth line, it's got to be Noah Gregor. They're different players. And I think depending on what you're looking for out of that spot, you got to go with the player that suits it best.
Yeah, as mentioned, there are so many moving parts, right? Like, let's say Calle Yarncroke can't go to start the year. I think it makes more sense, obviously, to roster Robertson and Gregor. And the thing with Gregor is that you got to give him a contract as well. And Brandon Pridham's got to be hard at work trying to figure out the salary cap situation. But I think your assessment's bang on. Like, I don't know if Nick Robertson's going to be best suited to play in the bottom six. Like, only way it makes sense for me is if he plays in the top six in a scoring type role as opposed to like a checking type role. Like, I know the numbering has changed with lines in recent seasons, but I think it's got to make sense for Robertson. Whereas like Gregor, it will make sense because they need guys like that in the bottom six. No.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, it's the classic thing. I've played with so many guys in my career where, you know, they get called up to the NHL after kind of lighting up the AHL and being the stud and getting player of the week and player of the month, and they're putting up points, and they go up to the NHL and they get shoved on the fourth line. They play 6 minutes, and it's like, what are the expectations? Like, it always happens, and it's like, well, if you're going to call a guy up, you're going to call the guy up that's performing the best down in the minors, and you call him up and throw him in a role that he's not even remotely suited for, and it never seems to work. The players are frustrated all the time. They're like, what am I supposed to do with this amount of ice time? I don't forecheck. I don't hit guys. I don't create energy. I'm a playmaker. I need to play with other playmakers, but it doesn't seem to work out that sometimes. And you know, it's frustrating on both ends when you put a guy into a role that he's not used to or not qualified for and expect him to flourish and expect it to work. It doesn't work like that. Guys have their strengths and they have what they do best, and that's what they need to stick to. And if you're looking for a guy to do X and you bring in a guy to do Y, it's not going to work. So depending on what they want out of the role of the spot in the hole that's in the lineup, you got to fill it with the guy that best suits that.